Wolf Pack, what's going on? It's your boy, the Wolf of Roto Street, RotoStreetJournal.com, where we breed and feed fantasy wolves. Here with your Week 11 rankings. We are in the slug of the season. We got about 3 more games to the fantasy playoffs. This is where the sit-start decisions become more and more crucial to keep your hopes alive, to keep your bye week hopes alive if you're already crushing it, to keep your last place hopes out of the, not hopes, just, nightmares out the window so we can get it right for you guys. Ultimately, this is getting the crunch time of all crunch time. And I am going to bring you my rankings live, go through the strength of schedule, the fantasy points against. If you don't mind giving this a thumbs up, though, wherever you're at, consider sharing it. It really helps us get discovered, and it is so greatly appreciated. If you're catching the replay, thank you so much as well. Get your questions in. I will answer them the best I can. Let's let this rip, Wolf Pack. Before I get in, though, I thought I was going to be a little more depressed than I am. I'm handling it okay, but I do have to just vent. This is my platform, so I'm going to vent real fucking quick. The worst fantasy beats of my goddamn motherfucking life. Like, literally last night, I didn't know I was going to wake up today. It was sickening. I lost not 1, 2 leagues by the same exact score of 0.44. Literally less than half a point. 1 reception in a half PPR league. I lost 2 leagues by. Not only that, though. One of those leagues, my most important one, I had Nick Chubb. Thanks for stepping out of bounds and being a smart football player. Fuck. And then in the other league, I was facing not just Kyler Murray, but also DeAndre Hopkins for that Hail Mary. Both the losses got hand-delivered on Monday night as well, right in the fourth quarter nonetheless. It was a tough night. I didn't sleep. I can't even still look in the mirror. I'm putting on a smile, Wolfpack, because I love you guys. But good fucking Lord, I've never been kicked so hard in the nuts fantasy-wise. And both of them were pretty must-win scenarios. So if you have a beat that's worse than that, feel free to comment it in. Wallow in the misery with me. But otherwise, we plow forward. That's what it is. You got to just move forward, Wolfpack, and that's what I'm trying to do here by bringing you guys my rankings. So let's dive in. Nobody cares about my fantasy teams anyways. I only care about yours. So just as always, Falcons, Seahawks right at the top. Jaguars, not a shocker. Jets, Chargers really in the last few weeks have just crumbled with these defensive injuries. Bills, generous matchups. So you guys have a good sense of who's great and who's not in terms of the hardest possible matchups. You got your Colts, your Rams, your Bears, your Steelers, your Pats, Packers. No big surprises there, especially when Jair Alexander is on the field. So we'll bounce back and forth if there's any we specifically want to check in on. Like, for example, Mahomes gets the Raiders. Should be absolute, top 10 matchup for the guy. He was playing on fire heading into the bye. He's always on fucking fire. But to me, I feel like I like this. Again, Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson showdown. I think this is a great get-right spot for Russ. Mahomes is going to be my number 3, which is nothing against Mahomes and nothing against the matchup. Just these two back and forth. Thursday night, too. Maybe that's why I can actually get a fucking smile on my face is we're not just going to get Thursday night, but a shootout on Thursday night. Cannot wait for that. But I think both those quarterbacks and really Kyler Murray anyways has to be towards the top spot. Herbert against the Jets, as you guys saw, top 3 matchup, 4 matchup. So great spot for Herbert, who's already been crushing it. Hasn't had under 20 points since his second start. Unbelievable. Unbelievable performances. Big Ben right up there with another great matchup, though. I gotta, as great as Big Ben was, and almost 30 points last week, and as bad as Lamar's been, Tennessee is just hideous. But then they also put up points on the other end. They play at a fast pace. We saw him against Tennessee in the playoffs. Lamar put up like 500 total yards of offense. So I'm gonna go right back in. I'm gonna keep him up there. You got Rodgers in a tougher matchup, but I'm not overly concerned. I think 7's just about right here, and this is where I'd slide them all. Although, Matty Ryan should have all his weapons, and when he has all his weapons, it's been lights out. So I wouldn't put him above. Big Ben, that could just be James Conner. The upside with Big Ben, we just saw the ceiling. It's not going to get any better than what we just saw. So I would kind of argue that these guys are actually going to be in their own tier. Now, Watson could get a nice bump up back at home, coming off a dud. The Pats D is actually pretty good against passers, but horrible against the run. So not the best of spots. I think Cam Newton can run all over these guys. But I got to bump up my man Jameis Winston here. right here to 9. Top 10 guy on your waiver wires at this point. His career averages against the Atlanta Falcons are insane. The one team that he has like a ridiculous pass rating, it's 109 passer rating, like 29 TDs to 9 interceptions, 8.7 yards per attempt, well over 1,000 yards like in 2 games last year. Insane. The guy just puts up numbers against them. Now, this is obviously a different offense, far less of a chuck, run and gun system here. But I like Jameis to do some real damage this week in an easy spot. I'd say this gets cut off right around here. We'll see if Galladay's back, but honestly, Stafford's been cooking regardless. It's actually tough to not have, Tom Brady in there. This seems about right. I think I'll put Cam in there just because the rushing upside is so astronomical against just a horrendous Houston run defense. Then you get into like your QB2 range. I prefer Burrow. Last week, does he really give me a reason to? Now, Carr, we saw light up Kansas City last time out. I don't know that we get that same one, though. This will be at home. They're going to be playing catch up. Don't hate Carr. I think that's about right. As you can see, Winston's like my higher one. Big Ben just a little bit lower. There's nobody that I'm like screamingly low on, though, in these rankings. I think these rankings are about right. Maybe a little bump down for Watson to like this range. Maybe a slight. I've been bumping down Stafford, and he just keeps fucking making me regret it. Carson Wentz against Cleveland, as bad as he is, that's just a tasty matchup. There's just too many options. I do love me some Teddy Bridgewater. Should he play? 13 straight completions last week. Like, that was a monstrous game. I think that's a good script, too, for Matthew Stafford. This seems about right. I don't think Tampa Bay has anything special. Now, they do have a good pass rush, and losing Andrew Whitworth could really impact Goff. But I like that game to go back and forth. I like that game to shoot out. I just think I'm too low on Wentz, though, because that Cleveland matchup is cake. And now you're getting into like, oh, God. I know he disappointed us all, but I'd put Tannehill in that tier. He steps up in the biggest of games, and they're going to really push the pace, I think, against this Ravens team. You saw Cam Newton run for all over these guys. Come on now. In terms of Hail Marys and streams, like that's the range we're getting in here. We certainly don't need any of this crap. Let's get rid of them. Darnold's not playing, already confirmed out. If PJ Walker plays, he'd probably be my favorite stream of the week, but it's looking like Bridge should make it back in. I like Alex Smith a bit more. Cousins gets Dallas. Dallas won't keep this game competitive. The Cousins might have to throw it 3 times, I do think Dalton could come in and surprise. I'm going to give him a little bit of a bump up. This seems about right. Rivers always has, 300-something yard upside, multiple touchdowns, but not my guy. I'm not a Mayfield fan at all. Haven't been all year. Never want to be. Yeah, that's about right. Taysom Hill. Tight end eligibility for you crazy ESPN folks. This seems about right. So into Dalton as a pickup, a stream. Obviously, Winston's your first option. I can't put in good faith Watson below Winston, but this is about right. Brady's pissed off. Brady's dangerous. The Rams are a great pass D, but I could see this seems right. They did shut down Russell Wilson, though. I think Winston's going to ball. Big risk there. So pretty high on Winston. Teddy Bridge as potential streamers there off your waiver wires for you folks. Let's jump over to running backs, and I'm going to load up the running backs points against just to give you guys a quick little preview of who's the most generous and least generous teams out there. And while that's loading, why don't we just get on over to some questions you guys have. What's up, Wolfpack? Love you, Denny Jennings. Always great to see you. Regular here, my man Mitch. You know the guys I'm expected to see every fucking broadcast. Not even every week, every show. You guys are the best. Still holding on to third place. I like to hear it, Jeremiah. And a question I think a lot of people are asking, is Jonathan Taylor droppable? That might be an article that we need to do here. And depends on the shallowness of your league, depends on the quality of your waiver wires, but I don't see much of a reason that he has to be held either. Yeah, it hurts to always release a third rounder. Sure, the schedule's real soft. Yeah, he's, I think, talented, but he's running tentative. He's got a case of like the oopsie. I don't know. Clearly, Hines could come in and take over at any time. Wilkins had 20. It's just a mess of a backfield. I don't think we'll ever have true clarity. So I think he could be dropped at the right price for sure. Let's get this free advertisement out of here. Vacation just a drive away. You don't get that. Come on. Yeah, I think he could be droppable depending on who's out there, how deep your benches are. Most times I'm probably holding just to see if he can catch fire during this fucking great schedule they have. But Jeremiah, I know your league, there's usually some pretty good talent on the waiver wires. So let me know what's out there. Stephen Drake, should I pick up Tim Patrick and Pittman? How do you feel about Ballage over Robinson, full PPR? Not over Robinson. Now I'll look at the matchups and we'll figure that out. But that would be aggressive for sure, Stephen Drake's. In terms of Patrick and Pittman, yes, I love them both. I'd probably go Pittman higher. We just talked about this on the waiver wire show, but 8 targets, 100 yards, 7 catches, all team highs. 80% of snaps are higher in 2 straight weeks, all team highs. Team high, team high, team high, because he's the number 1 now. Love me some Pittman. Patrick, though, has a really nice floor, too. With Breeze out, who do I pick up? Good question, Denny. I think it's got to be Jameis, right? Slide him on into the that spot. Of course, Sean Payton playing coy. It's going to be, I'm not going to tell you guys for Sunday. It's Winston. So I like Winston, but let me know who some other options are, Denny Jennings. But as you can see, for a 1-week stream, he's got Falcons twice in the next 3 weeks, Denver in the middle, who's bottom 7 against the pass. Like, very good stuff. I think that's probably in reaction to me getting kicked to the nuts, Mitch. And yeah, that was brutal. Absolutely brutal last night. Made 200. Well, somebody had a better night, Jeremiah. Thanks for rubbing it in. Was it on the prop bets? Was it any of ours or your own? How'd you make it? Didn't make playoffs last year with MT, CMC, Lamar. How did that happen, Kevin? Was it just a matter of like the points against just being absolutely absurd? That sounds painful. Sorry to hear that, brother. Who do I pick up with Breeze out? Stafford, Winston, Carr, Tannehill, Rivers, Cousins. Given some options there. So Winston's my favorite. But Stafford, season long, probably the safest. Tannehill, a close third. So you got some good options there. Sickening ways to lose, man. I mean, you're telling me. Absolutely, Mitch. I appreciate your sympathy, pity, whatever you want it to be. All right, Mike Clay, another regular. I'm going to hit your comment. Of course, I'm going to get all you guys, but I got to get back to the rankings in a sec here. Damn tough beats, bro. Went 3-1. Lost by was 1.14, 0.44. I don't need to hear your fucking complaints, Mike. I'm just kidding, dude. It's painful. I'm sorry to hear it. A-Rob Smith with that great play. Yeah, that was tough. Foles blows and Bray. Yeah, Foles is just fucking horrible. It was you probably kept gasping for here it is. Here it is. Just that one play, 1 point, and he didn't get it. Awful stuff. I was on the opposite, just one play, not one play, nothing for Thielen. Seemed like I was going to be rolling after that early touchdown, and nope. Sure enough, 0.44 in 2 leagues, both Monday Night Football losses. All righty, guys, enough of my complaints here. Let's get on to your running back rankings. And looking at the schedule, Detroit giving up the most, 30 fantasy points a game. I mean, that's just absurdity. I believe they are facing, we already saw it. Who does Stafford have this week? It wasn't a great matchup. We'll get back there in a second either way. But yeah, Lions. No, I want to filter this. There we go. Texans, not a surprise there. Most rushing yards on the ground. Just get steamrolled week in and week out. Packers, not far behind there. Panthers, obviously abysmal, obviously pathetic. We saw freaking, what's his name? Boston Scott go off. Raiders have been horrible all year. Also in the 20-point clubs to running backs, Titans, Jaguars, and Jets. So some pretty just bad defenses overall. Not a surprise. And then you got some tough defense to the Saints. Really lights out against the run right now. Gurley could find some tough sledding this week, especially if that game gets out of hand. Steelers, no surprise there. Colts, great run D. Falcons, that's a bit of a surprise. They're actually, the lowest in terms of rushing yards allowed, I believe, other than the Bucks here. Very dangerous run D in terms of rushing yards allowed. Pretty generous in the pass. Their passing allowed, 51 receptions, 388, 4 touchdowns to the air is pretty generous. But as a whole unit, they've actually been pretty legit. So when you see Falcons, you automatically think like smash play. Not really quite the case. I mean, Kamara's Kamara. He's going to fucking kill it. But how bad were the Ravens you'd think would be a tough matchup, but we just saw Damien Harris in a bad Patriots line just steamrolling, bottom 7, but I think Henry's in a great spot, to be honest. To me this week, it's kind of like Dalvin Cook and then who? Against Dallas, I mean, that's just silly. Their defense has been a little bit tighter these last few weeks. I mean, Swift, over 70% of the snaps, like 20 touches, 23 fantasy points. I mean, unbelievable game from DeAndre Swift last week. I want to say he was, the running back 2 or 3? Let's see here. Swift, number 5. That was standard, though. Hold on. PPR. Number 4, 26 fantasy points, 81 yards. The ground, 68 through the air, so 149 total. The score, 5 catches. Just a monster game in his first start. Really rose to the occasion. So fantastic to see for Swift. I think he's kind of earned his way right into this tier. At least when the matchup's Carolina, as generous as they come. Connor against Jacksonville. He's had a bunch of smash spots and hasn't delivered, but come on now. That should be the smash of all smashes. I mean, Mike Davis, you got to get it together at some point, right? Mikey, come on. Gibson's and Cincy, another just cake matchup for this guy. So, yeah, we got that question about Robinson. I see it against Pittsburgh. Obviously, a little bit scary. That was you, Steven Drakes, but I wouldn't play Ballage over Ballage. Come on. No. I don't think Zeke belongs in this tier at all anymore. I think he goes. I mean, you see how fast the drop off is, right? Like Ronald Jones was dead to us just a couple weeks ago. Rams not a great matchup. It could just be Leonard Fournette right away. So I'm not buying Ronald Jones this high. This is a great spot for Damien Harris. Looked great against a tough Ravens run D. Now he gets the most generous run D in the league. Yes, all day. I think Clyde off the bye, definitely way too low ranked. The Raiders, so generous. Bell has been an afterthought. He's clearly a handcuff, in my opinion. If we're ranking Bernard as if he's the player, if he's the guy, I mean, he's right back up here. I do think Ballage gets a nice bump up here. We got McKissick's. I mean, crazy. Definitely over Duke. 15 targets. I think that was the lead among all positions. A week after 14, 29 targets in the last 2 weeks. Talk about a fucking alpha. And imagine if those were going to Gibson. He'd be right here with Swift. If only, huh? This has the feel of a Nyheim Hines day. Given that Green Bay puts up points, they're going to want to put up points beside them. I think out of the Arizona backs, it's got to be Drake. Steps right in, gets, I think, 20 carries last week. Kenyon against Buffalo. Fumbles, yeah, but looked pretty good with it. 16 carries, 100 yards. Didn't find the end zone. And honestly, touchdowns are so hard to come by for this backfield, given how legit Kyler Murray is at the stripe. I feel like Salvin Ahmed down there is way too disrespectful. One of my favorite waiver wire pickups of the week. Played 75% of the snaps, 84% of the rush attempts. The definition of the workhorse, and it's not like Gaskin's back this week. Denver just gave up 4 touchdowns on the ground, an absolute bludgeoning at the hands of the Ravens. I mean, the Raiders. I think Salvon Ahmed, this seems far too. Imagine the world, excuse me, guys, where we're ranking Salvon Ahmed ahead of Zeke Elliott. Isn't that sickening? I think Dobbins has a chance. I mean, Henderson against Tampa Bay, like he's the starter. But yeah, I'd probably that was a steep decline this week. Malcolm Brown leading the team in snaps and all the goal line looks. Cam Akers seeing more rush attempts, like was not at all what anybody wanted to see coming out of their bye. We're getting into about time to pivot this one. Screw Lindsey, screw Taylor, like awful stuff here. Is there anyone down here? I think Edwards. It's an okay play. La'Mical Perine, they talked about we're going to ride this guy out the bye. I like Burkhead as a streamer on waivers this week. Houston just so generous. But yeah, Perine, the guy they're going to want to see what they have. I like that. And now it's just, Ingram can just get out of here. I'm assuming we're going to have Carson this week. He's expected to play. So let's find him and put him where he belongs in the top 15. Say, over Robinson against Pitt. Seems about right. Now, of course, check back throughout the week. Let's see make sure Carson's in, but overall, that should be a good spot. Which means, DJ Dallas, no interest. In this pack, it's like, does anybody stand out to you, Wolf? Not really. Akers seeing those 10 carries, like, woo. I think Boston Scott, explosive, good bet for a touchdown. I like. Could get some good Madison mop-up duty. In which case he'd be, up here. But yeah, it's soon gets ugly. No more AP. You shouldn't have been playing AP, let's be real here, but certainly not an option. I don't hate Josh Kelly. Something says he gets in the end zone. I hate him, but something says he gets in the end zone this week against the Jets. Yeah, AP. Carolina of all teams, but no. At the same time. All righty, guys. Chris Thompson's on the IR. Let's get rid of him. You guys don't need to watch me trim all that fat there. Let me get back to these points against. We'll pull up the wide receivers and move on to our target hogs, our alphas, our slot guys, whatever you want to call your receivers. All righty, let's get back to you guys. We were left off at Mr. Preble, Charlie Prebs. Wolf, what do you think of this trade? I'd get Austin Eckler and David Johnson for Damon. We're talking about Damian Harris, or if it's Damian Harris, then definitely. I like Damian. I think he runs hard. For whatever reason, doesn't get used at the goal line. Cam's always going to be the de facto there. And Eckler, even if you only get him for your playoff run, he's going to be electric. So it also depends, how close to the playoffs are you? But yes, I think so. Absolutely. Give me Austin Eckler and David Johnson for Damian. RBs are Cook, Gallman, Jamal Williams, and Breida. Somehow Damian Harris is available. How much fab? Ooh, $65 at a bad running back core outside of Cook. Gallman gets it done, but I would think you got to bid, 40 to 50 there, Denny, and just get your guy. The schedule, especially with Houston coming in. Here's the deal, though. Michelle's going to come back on IR soon, off of IR. It could get ugly fast. So then it's like, I want you to pay 50 because he's clearly a great option, but I can't promise you anything with that backfield. Nobody ever can. So maybe taper it down to like 30, 40 range, but that's a great option, at least this week, and potentially going forward. You're down on yourself over a missed call yesterday. Let's not forget I'm 8-2, my man. Mateo, that's what I love to hear. Last year, first number one finish in 15 years, RSJ difference. Glad you found us, brother, and I'm glad we've paid out for you. Let's keep it rolling. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. I appreciate your kind words. It makes me feel better after these boots to the balls this last week. Jeremiah, which do I start? Pick 2, Boyd, Jefferson, Hollywood, Lazard. Feel like it's definitely going to be Boyd and Jefferson. I'm kind of done with Hollywood. Lazard, great to have him. Excited to see a tryout week, but when you got 2 good options like Boyd and Jefferson, you roll them. Last one, I'll hit you again. Charlie Preble, I already hit that for you. Wolf, curious if Carson's back, do I play McKissick over Drake and Edmonds? I don't know what that has to do with Carson being back, my dude Steve, but I played Carson, and I think I played McKissick, yeah, as you saw in my running back rankings. That backfield for the Cardinals is just so tough to pick out. One will probably light it up on Thursday just to piss you off, but good luck picking that one up for sure. All righty, Wolfpack. Jeremiah, you're buying the beer. That's what I like to hear. Exactly. Jeremiah, send it on this way. Not for any Eagles fans. I love the shit talk. As always, Wolfpack. Let's get on to the wide receivers. I mean, yeah, normally it's Davante Adams and then who? This week with Hopkins getting Seattle, it's like if there's ever a matchup. And again, as much as I want to hate the guy after what he did to me, ending my college league this week, it's tough to say anything but good things about the man. And the easiest, most points allowed. Yeah, we got to check these out real quick for you guys. Seahawks, most points, followed by the Cowboys. Shocker. So Jefferson, great spot. Thielen, great spot. Falcons, no surprise there. So you got Jameis Winston, maybe MT finally rebounds. If ever it's going to happen, it's going to be this week. Otherwise, you just completely panic. Vikings, horrible against receivers, no doubt about it. So maybe you get CeeDee Lamb going again. Maybe Cooper. Dalton can't sustain shit. Browns, horrible against the pass, so good note there. Titans, Bengals, Jags, also quite generous. 2 wide receivers. Rams have been just a freaking monster against wide receivers, especially number ones with Ramsey, just pure shutdown stuff. Washington football team, though, surprisingly number 2. Ravens, Bears, Chiefs, Panthers, a surprising number like 6 or 7, and then Colts. So not a horrible matchup for Rams, not bottom 5, but it doesn't really matter regardless of what he's doing. All right, back to your rankings, folks. We'll bounce back and forth as needed. I have no disagreement with this top 3. I might just go just out of respect for Adams' work. Keenan Allen against the Jets, it sure is tempting, but I think DK rebounds humongous fashion this week. And you got Keenan Allen. I like that. I mean, you got some great matchups for your wide receivers this week. Nope, tier didn't want to work quite there. There we go. Tyler Lockett did have 50-something points against Arizona, despite these. One, he's got the ankle injury, so we got to watch that. But 2, he's been on a pretty big cold streak these days. So that has to make you nervous. I'll never have Julio above Calvin, even though Julio's played some great ball. Calvin's been just that much better. I think this seems just about right. I think Thielen, the only risk there is do they keep it competitive enough? But I'd rank them this way. I think DK is the one that goes off against Arizona this time. And folks, if you don't mind, wherever you're at, giving us a thumbs up, a heart button, all helps so much, especially subscriptions and shares mean the world. So thank you guys again so much for being tuned in and wanting the Wolf's opinion as much as you do. I greatly appreciate it. It's humbling. I think Deontay has to be the top Pittsburgh guy. Hasn't seen less than 10 targets in a healthy game. I would put Brown above Claypool, but that's about right. It's about, Michael Thomas. What do we do with Atlanta? What do we fucking do? It's mind-numbing. It's such a great spot for him. Like, imagine if I told you Michael Thomas is facing Atlanta and the worst D, where he'd rank, it'd be number 1 last year. Not even a question. Probably a tier by himself. Insane stuff. Again, these Steelers, all three of them, very, very viable each and every week. I know Boyd, is second worst matchup, but he's just steady. Although Higgins is just as good. I'd say Fuller. He'll get back on track this week without that weapon that the wind taking away his most prized weapon, that speed. I think target hog Robbie will bounce back. I mean, Jefferson, how do you not love him this week? Dallas. Sheesh. I don't think Godwin's going to be the one to make the tough draw here. I think that's going to be more Mike Evans. This seems solid so far. Freaking Devontae Parker. What a bust last week. Not opposed to Chark. I know he fell off a little bit, but that was a windy day. Luton. Ugh. But I think he could rebound nicely. Got a little revenge game script, do we, for Mr. Brandon Cooks against the Pats? I feel like you got a million revenge games for Mr. B. Cooks. Cooper should be higher. And if Dak was playing, he'd be top 6. But the quarterback woes are just so bad there. Dalton sucks. A bad tackling Detroit team meets the ultimate tackle-breaking monster in DJ Moore. Huge week last week. He was facing me, of course, and I had Curtis Samuel in. I can't get over that shit. Why do we play fantasy football, folks? As soon as I rank him up here, he's, of course, going to blow. I'm not putting Parker in any fucking respectable tier. I will put Christian Kirk, though, who went deep and destroyed the Seahawks last time. I know Crowder's on the Jets. I know he's got Joe Flacco, but he's still getting it done. I like him a lot. But I do like Perriman. I'm just going to bump him up now. Certainly above AJ fucking Green. I like Sanders. You're looking at big play. Marvin Jones, tough pasty, but he's been holding down that fort. Myers, a bad Houston team. I think he belongs in this tier. Maybe not Justin Jefferson's tier, but right about here. That looks nice. So clearly I'm down on Evans. I think he's going to be the one to draw Ramsey, which has me quite hesitant to play him. I'm a big fan of Emmanuel, though. I'd rather have him in against Atlanta than most of these guys. Is Xavier Howard going to trail Jerry Jeudy, and is freaking Drew Lock ever going to get his head out of his fucking ass? Two big questions for his week 14 status, week 11. I'm not a fan of Lamb, Landry, Fulgham, Cleveland. This is a good rebound spot. So I'll bite. I'll play a little higher on him, but I do like Jalen Reagor leading the team in targets. He's going to get a nice bump too. Cleveland, 5th most points to wide receivers. The matchup's there. Matchup is there. Is Jair going to be in? Because if not, Pittman gets a significant bump up. I honestly like Perriman above any of these guys. Tim Patrick, double digits every full game he plays. Got ejected last week, but still a fan. Still love you, Tim. Not a Gallup fan. Although Dalton does love him, so you know what? Anyone else down here? Let's look at Alan Lazard. If playing, he would slide in right there, wide receiver 36, just to show you how strongly I feel about Alan Lazard if and when he's in. Marquez's blow up down the field does not change any of that for me. I mean, if I'm going this low, sorry, Wolfpack, tired. I need to make myself a coffee in a sec. Certainly Aguilar above Ruggs, AJ Green. Ugh. Aguilar's all he does is score every game. I'm not going to put Brashard this high. This seems about right. Other than that, I mean, for Pittman's sake, let's hope T.Y. Hilton, already useless, gets shadowed by Jair. Should he play? Yeah, I'm not seeing much else out here. Just a lot of trash. I'll double check. I mean, David Moore, if Lockett misses time, would be right in this range for sure. This 40 range. All right, tight ends. Back to your questions. Do I trade Taylor, Robinson, and Deontay Johnson for Henry? Pretty package. And I think you do it, especially Greenlight, if you are going to be a lock for the playoffs. The easiest playoff schedule out there for Derrick Henry. Literally the easiest among running backs. And you already know December Henry's a monster. So, yeah, I like that trade for you. Absolutely. Oh, we already answered that trade question. I prefer the Eckler David Johnson side. Not for an Eagles fan. Oh, yeah, we covered that one. Mike Williams, Judy, A.J. Brown, Corey Davis, Lazard. Pick 2 for Kevin Ford. A.J. Brown, I want to say Judy. Raiders, not the Raiders, though. Who do they have again this week? The Broncos, I guess we'll find out. Noah Fant, Miami. Yeah, so if he gets Xavier Howard, Judy's going to be in some trouble, but he might avoid him. He moves around a bit more, in which case, if you're not feeling him, I'd go Mike Williams. Pittman or Jacoby to grab off waivers? Oh, good question. I prefer Jacoby. We're just seeing him get it done. I don't think he's going to give up that job even when Edelman's back. Is Bell droppable? Sure thing, Mitch. Absolutely. He's been droppable for weeks now. It's too bad you held him through a bye. Just went with my gut and felt like Jefferson would have a good game. Played him at captain. Nice. Would have won 2,000, but Mooney blew it. Oh, that would have been real sexy. Jeremiah Moore shaking my damn head from Denny Jennings. Not sure if that's about the Eagle fandom or if that's about Mooney. Tua or Dalton this week? I go Tua. Showing a lot more. Martin Broadhurst. Who would be your top streamer for next week in full PPR league at wide receiver or running back? I like Balaj. I do too. Sure like Balaj. Like Salvin Ahmed quite a bit next week, who's out there in almost every league. Michael Pittman at wide receiver, a great option if he doesn't draw Jair Alexander. Lot of good streaming options. Rager against Cleveland could be your potential guy. All righty. Let us pray. Bam. I mean, nobody's in Kelsey's tier. That's the obvious one. Darren Waller. Fair. Let's look real quick at the points against for tight ends. give you guys a little matchup analysis. So these rankings matter the most. That's why I had Wolves number 5, baby. Hopefully after this week. I don't know how my rankings did. We'll find out tomorrow. At least maintain the top 10, right? But top 5 would be nice for this season. First time ever. In the competition, top 5 would be great. All right, so you got your Falcons, Jared Cook coming in. Your Bengals, very generous to the tight ends, so we'll keep that one in mind. Jaguars, obviously horrible against everything. Chargers, Bills, Saints, kind of rounding out the top against most generous. The Colts have been just absurdly stymieing against the tight end. Steelers not far behind, nor are the 49ers or Pats or Packers. So just a bunch of teams, not great matchups. We'll bounce back and forth as you need, as you'd like for these guys. No argument for me on Waller and Hawkinson, top 3. A little dud from Hawkinson this last week. But I wonder how healthy he is. I wonder if that's the issue. I think I saw Miami's like one of the... Yeah, I guess not one of the most, but not a gimme, not a sev of a defense. Do like Logan Thomas the third. I think Hayden Hurst, I mean, bottom 5 defense against tight end. Another week, another bump down for Andrews, who we're celebrating his career or season high 60 yards this week. Scoreless yards at that. Oh boy, that's gotten ugly. Oh boy. Hunter Henry, Rob Gronk. I feel like Gronk should be higher. That seems about right for these other guys. I might even bump Thomas up above the shag dog, Dallas Goedert. Jeez. He just hasn't shown up, huh? How's Baltimore looking against tight ends? One of the better teams. Okay. Bills on bye week, so we don't get to exploit that. The Chargers are at Jets, so nothing to exploit there. I mean, Jared Cook in the top possible matchup. Yeah, it's a new quarterback. Maybe Taysom Hill. And if you have Taysom Hill tight end eligibility, I'll show you where I rank him in a second. But Jared Cook, I mean, touchdown or bust, it only applies to Andrews. Come on. Best matchup. I like Jared Cook this week. Not afraid to go back to that well. Can I play Taysom Hill? I like the fiasco of Jalen. What was his name last year? What was that guy? Not Richard. Samuels. Jalen Samuels. Remember the controversies that caused in leagues? Good Lord. Yeah, I'll keep it like that. And then, yeah, your Rams just in mode. I like Kyle Rudolph, especially if Irv's in line to miss another. Rudolph would slide inside this top 15 or so. Why not have Rudolph last week? And what did he end up doing? I'm at 19. He put up 8 points and was the tight end 12. That's how bad this fucking position is. Good Lord. Other than that, any of these guys screaming to any of us? Not really me. Tunyon in that brutal matchup. Burton, I mean, I'll put Higbee above these guys after it kind of emerged this last week. But yeah, Rudolph has a ton of upside against Dallas. Yep, right there in the bottom. No Bears. But yeah, Washington gets Cincy. Drew Sample. Nothing. Who gets the Jags again this week? Ebron. Okay, good spot for Ebron. That seems about right. Now let's wind it on down, my Wolfpack. As the defenses load. Tua Brady can't. Brady? Oh, man. It's got to be Brady. Need one for next week because I have Allen on bye. Who do I get? It's got to be Tom Brady. The Rams not the best of matchups. And I would go Brady, then Cam, then Tua. I would go Brady, Winston, Cam, Tua. No, I'd go Brady, Cam, Tua. Cam's going to run all over that team. So I like that. James Conner or Elliott, rest of the year. I prefer Conner. I don't love either because he's a ticking time bomb. But Elliott's schedule is just a joke, Jake Carter, like the worst. A joke in the worst way. 32nd, hardest among all running backs. 32nd in the playoffs, hardest among all running backs. I have no hope of a bounce back. I would be trying to sell him as fast as I could. Conner would be a great yield if I could get rid of Zeke for him. Going up versus Swift, Davis, and Jefferson. Do I have a chance at the end? Great to see you from the Philippines still. Good options for sure. Mike Davis, but like this isn't crazy studs by any means. I think you definitely got a chance. You got a fighting team. I've seen it. And Liberty Finder says no, shutting you down there. We got Mateo. My running backs are healthy. I can start 3. Aaron Jones, Chubb, Gurley, J-Rob, all 4 against top 4 best runnies. Yeah, not the best week for those running backs, but man, are those great. I would be benching Gurley. Out of the tough matchups, he's the one that feels most matchup like dependent. And that's Ainsley, the hardest of the matchups. So I like that. Need Chubb, Carson, Swift, Gibson, half PPR. She needs 2 for Sarah Riley. I would go Swift and Chubb. Chubb and Gibson so close. I go Swift and Chubb. Swift and Chubb. Sarah, you got great options. We got to make sure these wins start coming in. I hope I can get Ahmed for 7 fab. Second option is Hines. Both good options. Definitely the end. Great options. Harris, Zeke, Duke, Balaj, Rojo need 2 for Rodney Davis. Mr. Shades, the trivia master. We got to get that game back for you. I would probably go Duke and Harris. The backs against each other. Balaj is right up there, though. It's not Zeke, which is, again, crazy. Kalen Balaj over Zeke in 2020. Who would have thunk it? And, folks, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up button, regardless of where you're at, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, if you haven't already, it helps us get discovered. It means a lot to us. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. It means a lot that you're just here either way. Is Hollywood Brown drop-worthy? Absolutely, Rodney. Him, Taylor, I'm done with them. Done with both. Thinking 31 for Harris, but I agree. You don't know what you're going to get. Yeah, that's about right given the uncertainty each week, but I like it, Denny. Feel like Taysom Hill's going to get a lot more snaps as Brian Martinez. It's certainly a possibility. They're paying him to be a Thank you for waiting there, Wolfpack. Sorry for those technical difficulties. But yeah, I think it's a good point. It could get a bunch of snaps. So maybe that would make me a little too high on Winston, but I don't know. I think they're just idiots in terms of that deal. Let's get 3 more, and then we shall get back to wrap up our defense, our kickers, and then it's your guys' questions the rest of the way. Mari Cooper, higher waiver pickup than Ahmed? Kind of and kind of not. Like, if Cooper ends up forging this great rapport with Dalton, the schedule is tough down the stretch, though. It depends on your team needs there, Ethan Pugh. I feel like I prefer Ahmed's only like a 1 or 2 week rental, though. The upsides with Cooper is like as an overall player, but if I need a running back this week, it's going to be Ahmed. Pittman or Chark to start this week? I like Chark. Better weather, easier matchup. Alrighty, on 2. Oh, I said I'd get 3 more, so let me get them. Thanks, man, for Charlie. It doesn't count, but you're welcome, Charlie. Appreciate you using your manners there. Trays, drop Bell for Keelan Cole, Watkins, Williams, or Debo. I think for Debo, if you think he might make it to the next week, I would say Jamal Williams is the highest upside guy here because if something happens to Jones, we've already seen him put up running back 1 numbers, and Jones has the second easiest playoff schedule behind only Henry. So Williams would be a league winner if he takes over. So I think he has the most upside. If you really need a receiver to use, I'd like Cole over Watkins, but I'd go for the ceiling here. I'd go Debo, and then I'd go Jamal as the running back stash, Debo as the receiver stash here. I'll come back to you, Mitch. You know I will. I appreciate you waiting patiently. All right, we got the Steelers against Jacksonville. I mean, that's just a no-brainer. Not far off, the Chargers against the Jets, Dolphins against Denver. I might prefer the Dolphins, to be honest, just because they have a better D. And we saw Flacco bomb the Pats D. Washington against Cincy. I don't know if I love that one. I like Tampa Bay against that left tackle-less Rams front 7. I think that could be a nice one. I like the Saints as a unit, but Atlanta's clearly not a great matchup. I feel like we've got to bump Atlanta up too. I know Winston will put up his points, but he'll also toss his picks, huh? All righty. I think this seems and feels right. Rams could really give Tom Brady fits. He's thrown plenty of pick sixes. It just gets kind of all over the place, right? Like 6 through 15. It's tough to really feel great about any of these guys. I'd probably bump down the Packers. I think the Browns could really frustrate Wentz all day. Weather will have a big impact on a lot of these games too. Any others that I'm missing? Tua's been protecting it well, so I'd want to like the Broncos more, but I just don't. All right, folks, we'll quickly rip through these kickers. There's really only like 7 that matter anyways. The rest is just shit show. Let's see what we get, but I got you, as always. To me, Young Wei is always the number 1 kicker. Awesome, awesome player. Bucker just hasn't been it yet, so I'm going to keep him in the top tier, but I think he gets that bump down deservedly. I love Jason Sanders, and Denver giving up 3rd most points to kickers for whatever that's worth. Zane in a game that might require a lot of touchdowns is somewhat scary, but got to be top 7 either way. I don't love Carlson in case that game gets out of hand. Suckup, though. Suckup's been a monster. I think both guys belong with these goggles and everybody else around there. I don't know, the horniness here for Badgley. I mean, Greg Galega is surprisingly staying afloat because they get it just across the 50, and this dude can still boot. So I like me some leg. I hate you, Mason Crosby, always. I like Joey Sly. That, of course, if Teddy Bridge is playing. That's about it for kickers. I mean, how many more do you need? I think Folk is actually pretty underrated on this Pats team. Dan Bailey revenge narrative. So, yeah, 20 kickers here, 19. All you should need for kickers. All righty, Wolfpack. Let us now get into these questions, whatever you have left for me. Looks like there's a handful. So keep them coming, and we shall answer them as long as they're coming in. I got to just get off in about 10 minutes max. 909 Orbit. Sorry to hear about those 0.44 losses, man. Shit's crazy. I understand your pain. Brutal stuff, man. I appreciate your sympathy, but still hurts. I'm putting on the face as much as I can here. Tough day. Jefferson, Anderson, Woods. After last week's game, worried about Anderson and Woods. Yeah, and Jefferson gets a cake matchup too against Dallas, so I can totally see that. I have Anderson and Woods slightly higher, but they're not much, so I like Jefferson there, Sarah. Send a message. Got a trade. He wants Woods for Watson. I need a QB bad. I got Locke. Watson's schedule is about to get hideous, whereas Woods has the easiest receiver schedule, in my opinion. So I don't know that I love that one. What about Winston? Can Winston kind of be your magic man these next 3 weeks, Aiden? And maybe somebody else emerges on the waiver wire in the meantime? I wouldn't pull that trigger. Is Breida a drop at you? I mean, Trey says not yet. I say yes. I think Salvin is the guy there. Robbie Anderson and Golladay if he plays. Probably Robbie. I want to see Golladay make it through a game, Jeremy, before I trust him. And letting go for him for Ahmed Probs, but won't get him. Good luck getting him. I hope so, sir. What about Kamara for Henry and Hopkins? Are you getting Henry and Hopkins green light? I would totally do that. Henry has the easiest schedule in the playoffs. Then you get Hopkins? No brainer, in my opinion. Absolutely. Jared Cook's my tight end. Should I look for someone else? I mean, I love the 2 Falcons matchups coming up here, Jeremiah. I'd like to know who else is out there. But yeah, I like him a lot. Where does Taysom rank as a tight end play? He wasn't in here, K Cool Whip, but I'll go back to the tight ends and bring that into the stream for you. I would say right here in this, probably right above Logan Thomas or Hunter Henry, the top of tier 3, 9. Just because you're tight end, you're looking for the touchdown or bust as soon as you're in this range. You're really even up here. But I'd put him right there at about 10. Maybe between him and Cook would be a tough call, to be honest. But I'd go Jared Cook, then Hill. If we get some word that Hill's really going to be featured, I mean, if he's the quarterback, he'd be number 2 behind Kelsey. But I don't expect that. We'll find out, though. Definitely an interesting story and someone I'd love to own if he has eligibility at that position. I think it's only in ESPN, though. I don't think Yahoo does that. I'll have to double check. What the hell happened to Jonnu lately? Yeah, I mean, touchdown dependent as they come in a tough matchup. Tough schedule. And then you got, Corey and A.J. Brown back. I think he was really feasting without those guys there. Still a decent bet. You can see tight end 14 in my ranks, but don't love it. Have Phantom Hooper. Someone just dropped Hurst. Yeah, I would drop Hooper. I would go Hooper first. I mean, what do you have? 1 point last week? Screw him. Fant still has the schedule that looks real nice and the athleticism, but Hurst I'd rather have probably over either. But I would drop Hooper first. Product Forshare. Would you play Edmonds on Thursday or hold out for Mixon Bernard? I have both. I would just wait it out. That Cardinals backfield is just ugly. Tough to recommend somebody with full oomph behind it, Have Hawkinson worried Carson won't play. Do I drop Goddard for Ahmed or Hines? I think Carson's going to play. But you don't need Goddard if you have Hawkinson, Kevin. So, yeah, I think that's fair. I would drop him for either of those guys. Yeah. Wolfie, let's go, my dog. Great to see you, Jack. Always bringing the energy. Just popping in to say what's up. When the hell is Eckler coming back? Great question. Thanks for popping in to say hello. He was running. We all saw that video, right? And it didn't look like he was Eckler bursting down the field, but he was moving. If I was going to guess, I would say not this week, but the one after. Week 12 is my guess, my diagnosis, my official doctor diagnosis there. But yeah, we'll see. Have a great night, Wolf. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. And the truth, absolutely, we'll be back. I'd love to see you, Denny. You're the man. Thank you so much for tuning in as always. And regards for my man Mitch tight end landscape. Is Taysom Hill worth a grab? Can he be played as a tight end? Yeah, so he can, I think, in ESPN leagues. I would double check your league, make sure. But if so, yes, absolutely worth a grab because there is tight end landscape, as you point out, Mitch, awful. Touchdown or bust. I put Taysom Hill right at the top of getting a touchdown against Atlanta compared to the rest of the tight ends. Yeah, I think it's a great play. All righty, Wolfpack. That is all the questions we got. That is all the rankings I have. I will, of course, be updating these live on Thursday with all the news and notes before Thursday Night Football. Great game coming up. Wednesday, I'll have the Truth and me back together for a preview. DK show on Friday is the goal there, Jeremiah. I will be back on that saddle. You sounds like you should be the one giving the advice with the money bags this last week. But yes, I will be back with that probably Friday, right around the afternoon, 4:00 or so is my guess. I'll be sure to let you know, Jeremiah, is what I'm thinking. And then on Sunday, as you guys know, the Sunday tailgate, as always, pregame and postgame. So we're ripping it live pretty much every day, multiple times a day, even just for you guys, Wolfpack, because you're the best. Even on my down weeks, it's nice to have you guys. If you can possibly, Ruben, get Sanders for Zeke, by all means, do it. I just don't know what sane owner would ever do that. Have a great night, Wolfpack. You guys are the best. We will hopefully see you tomorrow. Cheers.